All right. Hello, this is Serena with Let's Talk Motivation. And today my guest is Abby McKiernan, and she is the founder of HelpLink. And we're so excited to have you on and learn more about you, what your mission is, and everything that you're working on.
I'm working on all kinds of things, so it should be an interesting conversation.
Exactly. Now, a little background. We met through a group called Mic Drop. We had a Facebook group, and it's just neat how somebody put on there, hey, if you have a podcast, let's connect. And I put my podcast out there, and you clicked the calendar link, and now here we are.
I did. I'm definitely, so anytime I can spread my mission, right, I'm all about it. But I think it's so important as entrepreneurs to have conversations like this to pump each other up, because it is hard, my friend. And so I like the idea of motivating each other, because boy, do we all need it sometimes.
That's right. And a little bit about myself. I work with small business owners. So I feel like I'm a connector. I'm an insurance broker. So I'm constantly helping my clients, whether it's with their insurance risks or find someone that can help them with their business or connect them to someone that helps lift their business up. Because that's word of mouth, I think, is the best way to do business with other business people. So I enjoy, you never know, someone that I do business with might listen to your message and be like, I need to know more about HelpLink or more about Abby.
Absolutely. We're going to
so
have
let's
such a
get
good
started.
conversation.
I know. I have a couple questions.
I'm ready.
First and foremost, tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do and what is your mission?
All right. Well, just a small question to start.
Just a little one.
A little one. All right. So I am a two-time founder now. I started two organizations, both ended up, funny enough, being nonprofits and becoming one organization. I am very much on a mission to use technology to make the world a better place by helping people better, easier, and faster, and helping companies get involved in the process, because I think there's a lot of missed opportunity on all sides of the table for community to come together in a really big way. So I've been on that mission for, 8 years now. I am absolutely humbled to say that we have met over 100,000 needs since 2017 in the state of Michigan. And it has been a ride with ups and downs. And during that process, I've also been creating quite a few tiny little humans. So I have 4 kids from 18 down to 10 months. I live up in northern Michigan. So I got a full life.
Full house.
Yes. Maybe a little too full.
That's wonderful, though. That shows a lot, because I've noticed the more I work around women and supporting women and in all these different groups that I'm in, we do a lot, and we do a lot with such little time. And we're also helping many people get their lives straight at the same time.
Right. Yep, all at once. I do find that I am better when I'm busy. The old saying, right? The old adage of, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, is one of those things that has always rang true for me.
That is so true. That is definitely true. Yep.
Right.
Busy. Yeah, I see that in myself as well. I notice that that's why meditation is really hard for me, because I feel that it takes a lot to really bring my brain down and to a meditated fit. So I've been putting it off, but I recently was gifted a book, and I know someone that does mindful meditation, and she's been, Serena, when are you gonna start putting this in your schedule? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's scary. It's scary.
Let me just get us right in the weeds out of the gate here. I actually was diagnosed with lupus a few years ago, which is an autoimmune disease that really kicks your butt and definitely rears its ugly head in different ways, depending on who you are. And so there's a lot of different triggers of lupus. And for me, mine has always been stress. And so The moment I get too stressed out and I feel a headache coming on, I know if I don't calm myself down, I will end up totally bedridden for a week with joint pain that leaves me totally, I mean, truly useless for a week. And it just feels, I can't even describe how terrible it feels. And so I actually took to meditating shortly after I found out what triggered my lupus for that reason, because I knew if I didn't find ways to calm my mind down, then I was going to be bedridden and useless. And so meditation has been a total game changer for me, actually.
Really?
It's hard and I've got a busy brain and I have to tell myself to all the time, but it has been worth its weight in gold for my physical health. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to put it on my calendar and start doing it. And, you know, I did notice one of the things that Jess said in the mic drop. I was listening to one of the videos. She talked about the box breathing and how to calm your nerves prior to speaking. And today, when things weren't going the way I needed them to go prior to this conversation, I did it. And I was like, wow, it really helped me just take a breath, relax, everything's going to be okay. And I noticed, I know I could benefit from it. So I'm definitely going to open that book up and start doing homework. Thank you, Abby, for getting me on.
Let me motivate you.
Yes.
All right, I'm
That's
done
what we're here for.
I'm out of here. I did my part.
That's right. You did your part. All right. Well, let's start. I have a question for you, specifically on motivation and mindset. And maybe you already touched on this, but we'll do this one. What does motivation look like for you when no one's watching?
Oh man, it's so hard. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the right words, because for me, I really struggle to get motivated, frankly, some days, right? I've got 4 children and 2 under 2, and it can be really, really hard for me to stay focused some days, because there's laundry and there's dishes and there's diapers, and I haven't slept in like 2 years. I'm losing count at this point. And so for me, it is usually like, just do the one thing, one tiny thing on my to-do list that I can cross off, even if I have to write it after I did it. I think we're all guilty of that. Put it on the to-do list and then cross it off, because I'm like, no, that was important. It should have been there. But I think sometimes just getting that ball rolling is what it looks like for me, at least, is the smallest, easiest task. I'm going to go get the mail. I'm going to... right? I'm going to send out one email that then turns into 40 emails. I'm going to create one list. I'm going to call one customer. And then if I still don't want to do it, then I won't for the day. Right. But that's it, I think, is that one little, just one stupid thing you don't want to do.
Yeah. I had a friend that said she bought we're lagging. A clock that it's like a cube. And it has 5, 10, and 15, and 20 on the cube. And she says if she's feeling just like it's not going to happen today, she'll just do the 5 minutes and say, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to answer emails. Or for 5 minutes, I'm going to do the wash or do that, whatever you don't want to get done. And she says, and then the alarm goes off. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, it's only been 5 minutes. That's gone by so fast. So then I'll give myself another 10 minutes. And I was like, that is such a great visual. So I need to find that cube and I need to get one of those, because I thought that is so great, because it rings at like 30 seconds. You're like, wait, it's already the end of 5 minutes. It's like, what am I doing?
It's amazing how fast 5 minutes goes too. And once you're in, right? It's like this forward momentum. And once you've started, it becomes much easier to keep going.
That's right.
Although I can say there have been plenty of days where I'm bedridden and I can't, right? And so then it's, all right, I'm turning on a podcast, or I'm turning on a master class, or I'm going to listen to how somebody else was motivated, unlike me. And maybe that will motivate me, right? I'm going to go hear about how Richard Branson did things and realize that I should probably get off my butt.
Yeah. But you're right. Sometimes our bodies need help, need to just rest, right? And I get migraines. So on Saturday, I woke up, I had all these plans and I had a massive headache. And my husband's like, do you want to go eat? Do you want to go do this? And I said, you know what? Let's just go eat. And I just want to go back home and just sit on the couch. And I usually post social media stories on Saturdays because I like to do what's called like my services, what I do, and just share a clip of one of the services that I provide. And I just couldn't. I was like, I can't. So I thought, this is actually a good post, right? We smile in these selfies, but you don't know what's behind the picture, right? What's behind that feeling. And I got a lot of, I put a question like, how do you measure success in your business? And I just put that picture and I put that on there for social media. I was like, that was my story for the day. And I felt like I did my part, but I also paused and was like, I'm not going to do anymore because my body needs to rest and I have this horrible headache and I just want to chill. And it works out. But you're right. We have to give ourselves a pause every now and then, right?
Yep, I definitely learned that one the hard way with all of the lupus stuff, right? Like forced pause. I joke it was God's way of slowing me down a little bit because I think, especially when you're a motivated person naturally, it can be really hard. It can be really hard for your body to stop you in your tracks like that and know that you need to stop when you have so much to do.
And your brain is still going like, I got this to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. And your body's like, nope, break.
Good try. Other plans, right?
Have you ever done your Clifton Strengths?
I have. It's been a while, but mine are all about connectedness and ideation and big picture thinking. And then strategy is number 5, just to keep things interesting.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah. My top one is positivity, which, I get that. But I laugh sometimes because I like the way they describe your basement of your strengths, because at times if I'm not careful, I'll be in the basement of my strengths, which means if I set a goal and I don't meet it, and then I'm like, it's okay, I'm still positive about it. So I have to be really careful. But I love those. I need to do a podcast just on the strengths and how we use them to help us as business owners, for sure.
Definitely. Even like the one-liners that they give you. So I have positivity in there, and I have woo, which is always a favorite of mine because I think it's hilarious. Like that all of these very professional words, and then woo. Like a woo you.
I have a good friend. She's a very she works for a educational service center here in Texas, and she has woo, but she's very strategic and very, type A and very professional. I would never have thought woo was in there for her, but it is.
There it is. That's why you like her so much. You just don't know it.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about your business journey. I know we talked a little bit prior to going live, and you have a lot of things going on besides your children, business wise. But what inspired you to start your business or multiple businesses, and what keeps you going when it gets tough and you have to pivot?
Yeah, I started originally what was called at the time Spark in the Dark, which was originally a Facebook group that connected people in need directly with people who are able to help. It was very much neighbors helping neighbors, right? I really need a ride to this job, or gosh, I really need a new pair of scrubs, or I'm out of diapers, or fill in the blank, right? It had to be a basic essential need. And I started it when my own life was falling apart. And I was, let's circle back to the analogy. I was in the basement of my life, not just in my Cliftons. I was really having a hard time, and I was very isolated and very alone, and coming out of a bad relationship, and realized I didn't really have anyone I could ask for help when I really needed it most. And so I didn't know what to do or where to turn. I had to dig myself out of the trenches, mostly alone. Not to say I did not get plenty of hand ups and kindness from strangers, but I just didn't want other people to have to work so hard to get help when they needed it most, right? It didn't like,
Yeah.
and I felt like I could do something about that, right? And so I was in a rut and I had nothing to lose. And I was like, oh, I'll start this Facebook group after experiencing a really powerful moment at a church group. Actually, I had experienced this really powerful moment, and I was like, oh, I could recreate that, right? I think I can make that happen again on Facebook. And I thought, oh, why not? I'll start the group with 50 people. I'll help 5. It'll be great. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. I started that group with 50 people. I woke up, there were 350 people. There are now 32,000 across the state of Michigan.
Oh my gosh. That is so awesome.
What started as helping a diabetic guinea pig, of all things, was the first client, if you will. It started with this little guinea pig named Angel who needed medical care, and we connected him to someone who was fit for the job, and we've crossed the 100,000 needs met mark as of the end of 2024. And then we launched HelpLink, which is now a program within, so that we're combined essentially. And HelpLink is actually its own platform. So I met a software developer who is just so much smarter than me in like all the ways. Dan is this incredible human who really hates cameras. Yes. So I just talk about him and then he growls at me later about it because he would prefer.
That is amazing, Abby. That is amazing. That's literally from a little spark to a huge flame. That's amazing. I love that.
And now so HelpLink, when we built it, right, the goal was to meet some of the needs that were happening in Spark. So many of them were work related. So many of them were, I just landed the job, but I haven't worked in a month and I don't have gas, right? Like, so now I got the job, but I can't get to the job. Or I got the job, but now I can't afford the boots. Or my car broke down. Finally, I got the job, but the car that was getting me through is on the side of the road. And now I'm going to lose my job, right? And it just kept happening to the tune of about 30% of the needs we were seeing in our groups were very specific to work. And I ended up hosting a party about 2 years ago, and somebody brought a friend. And that friend did not know in whose home he was standing or corner he was in, or he probably would have had different conversations. But nonetheless, he didn't know me, which was a huge blessing because he was in the corner of my, living room talking about how, gosh, he had just hired this new guy and he thought he was such a great fit. And then this guy stopped showing up for work and now he had to fire him and everyone's lazy and nobody wants to work, right? And I get it. I think we've all felt that way and been frustrated. I've been in upper management where like, dude, get it together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that I've run Spark for so many years, I know how hard people are trying to get it together and how one tiny little hiccup can ruin everything. And
especially for a job. And we used to have employees at one time when we owned an automotive garage, and literally 90% of the time it was lack of gas, transportation, or some type of family issues that were keeping them from coming to work. And they wanted to come to work. They just couldn't get badly. There. Yeah.
They just needed to just one little, and it's such not minuscule because it means everything to them, but it's little in the grand scheme. Mm-hmm. And for this guy, it was that exact situation. Little did he know. I knew who his employee was. I knew exactly who he was talking about because of how he was talking about it and the timelines. And even though we have 32,000 members, I am pretty deeply connected to what is happening in those groups. Even though I'm not in the day-to-day, I know most of the people in the group better than I know myself some days. And so he said this guy's name. And so I kind of walked over with my phone and I handed him the phone of the post from his employee who had gotten a flat tire and was, still 7 or 8 days from payday. And so he'd been hitching rides from strangers trying to get to work. He was working so hard to get to work, and I watched it every day, and obviously the rides must have run out and he stopped showing up. So I handed this, business owner my phone, and I was like, hey, listen, I think you've got a $400 tire problem. I don't think you have a $10,000 rehire problem. Maybe before you fire him, you should buy him tires and just see what happens, right? Like, what do you have to lose at this point? You just said he was great. So he did buy him tires. That guy is still employed there. And that guy has actually recruited multiple people in need of jobs out of Spark to where he works because his employer cared so much about him that he's now inspired to talk about, like, no, my employer didn't give up on me, right? Like, he came through for me and he's so loyal to him now. And all I could think was, like, God, how many other companies don't realize what $400 tires or a $50 gas card could do to their retention?
Or just asking, hey, tell me what is happening in your life that keeps you from coming to work. How can I help you get to work?
And so our whole platform essentially allows employees in need to post their need and their problem. Companies actually donate every single month to our platform automatically. And then their money goes and meets their staff needs first. If there are no staff needs, it meets customer needs. And then if there's no customer needs, it meets community needs. And so it's kind of this
freaking beautiful. That's freaking beautiful.
It is a
so
rising
are you
tide.
Are you only in Michigan, or are you nationwide now?
Yep. So HelpLink is actually crosses all borders and barriers. And so as long as you take the United States dollar, it is something companies can use. We do not charge companies to use it either. So it's something that you can implement in your company for free. We have an 18% donation fee kind of built in for general funds, but pretty small in the grand scheme.
Oh, I cannot wait to share this. I am so excited. And how long has this been going? How long have you had this going, the HelpLink?
Yep. So it took us about 1.5 years to build the software. And we still are like honing in on it every day and adding super cool new features and touches. But it's been running for about 6-7 months now.
Wow.
And it's working so well. Last week, we just paid somebody's car payment so they didn't get repoed so they could get to work. It works exactly as it should, plus some. It's been cool.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads me to my next category, which was community and legacy, but you answered all. What kind of legacy are you hoping to build through your work, or who has poured into you, and how has that shaped how you show up for others? But you've answered every single one of those questions.
My entire life is built around the idea that if we are in community, we are better. I think everything works better when we are in it together and when we are all, because I've been watching it for so long. I see what an impact it can make on one person or 100 people. And I just want that for the whole world.
And show some grace. I would say give people grace where, they're not doing it on purpose, right? They're not showing up to work on purpose. There's a reason. There's a YouTube video that I think when I was a teacher, we would share it with the staff, and it was a busy street corner, like a coffee shop, and people were in line for a coffee, and above their head was a bubble, and it said, like, husband filed for divorce. And it was every single person I got a flat tire. My child is sick. My boss is on me. And it was, they're going about their business. You don't see this on their faces, but the bubble tells you what they're dealing with. And that was so telling, because it's like, we really don't know what people are going through in their lives. And it's like how we show up is super important. And that is
really, really is. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go over the top, right? It's usually the smallest, littlest things and moments and tone of voice and how you ask a question. I'm a very emotional person. Big shocker. That's
Me too.
doesn't sound right at all, right? I'm a very emotionally sensitive person, and it took me a lot of years to stop being offended. Like not offended, but like have my feelings hurt, right? Because if somebody didn't show up the way I felt like they needed to show up, I was instantly like, oh gosh, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do? Why? What did I do to deserve that response? Right? Very inside my own head. And I had to start kind of pulling back, right? And approaching things with curiosity instead of what's wrong with me. It's, gosh, what's going on with them? Like, why are they, right? Like, why are they hurting? Why are they reacting that way? How can I shift this conversation and make it better? I told you I have an 18-year-old son who graduates next week, which is crazy because I'm changing diapers for 2 other kids. But my son graduates this year, and he called me, I want to say like 6 months ago. It's like, Mom, I really want to thank you. You gave me a really big blessing, which, listen, as a parent, I feel like is like the win, right? Anytime they call you and tell you what you did that kept them out of therapy and not got them into therapy, it's a net positive.
Yes.
Especially because I was a teenage mom. And so he had called me and he was like, we have this really grumpy person at work. And I'm just really thankful to you because all through school, when I came home talking about a bully or talking about how someone was so mean to me and how unfair it was, you always had 20 reasons to why they might be having a bad day or a bad life, or like maybe their parents in prison, or maybe their grandma just died, or right, maybe they had to get rid of their dog, or maybe they're homeless. I've always just naturally, that's my mind. And he's like, and so now when somebody approaches me negatively or attacks me verbally, it is second nature for me to ask not what's wrong with me, but how I can help them and what I can do to bring them into my bubble instead of going into their bubble. I'm like, oh, good. That feels like an important life lesson.
That's amazing for him to be able to reflect on that at 18. Yeah, well, that's our goal, right? As parents. That's right.
He's crazy. His car broke down last week and he was like, oh, I can buy a new transmission. I'm like, why? You're still in high school. He's like, yeah, but I put half my money in stocks in my IRA. And I'm like, you what?
Yeah.
I mean, I taught you how to open a stock account, but I guess I didn't think you actually did it.
We're listening.
I just assumed 50% is retained and the other 50% goes into space for later years.
Yes. I think my oldest, I think he was about 12 or, right about to be into middle school or starting middle school. And he did something that I was like, what are you doing? I said, hon, I know your frontal lobe is not completely developed. So I'm going to give you a pass on this, but we need to learn to make better choices. And then fast forward, I think he was 18 or 19. He'd already graduated high school. And I said, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And he goes, Mom, wait a minute. My frontal lobe has not fully. I was like, oh no, do not come at me with that. He goes, I actually looked it up. Yeah, he goes, I actually looked it up and I think it'll be fully processed, complete at 25, Mom. I said, that does not give you a pass to do dumb things. Okay. I was like,
only when you're little.
Exactly. I was like, you know better. And yeah, he's trying to turn it on me for his frontal lobe development.
Listen, that is my number one insult to my children. And it's like a running joke in our house is I'm like, that is what I literally say to them. I'm like, I know your frontal lobe isn't developed, right? Which is my way of calling you a real dummy right now.
Oh yeah, I tell them that all the time. And they're like, at first the oldest was like, I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, well, it's science, okay? And he was like, well, he looked it up because he's my documentary researcher and he sure did. He found it.
Right back down.
He's like, yeah. But then he used it against me later. And I was like, no. I
think our sons would get along. That
right?
Is mine. Mine is that I joke he should have been a lawyer. Like, go to law school, you'd kill it because he's got an argument and the research to back it up on everything.
Yeah. And he would always tell his brother and sister statistically. And I was like, oh, dang. I was like, he's throwing out statistically, actually. And Abba would be like, you think he's actually finding those statistics? I said, well, he probably is because he's always on YouTube and trying to find stats.
I like it. That's, you got again, a lawyer on your hands. They're good to have in your corner. Terrible
They
to
are.
fight against.
They are. They are. Yes. Well, let's continue with some like your mission, like where are you going from here? Because I know we met in Mic Drop, which is for speakers. And are you already speaking? Is that somewhere you're going with this now that you've launched HelpLink and you're pretty going in solid with this? What is the goal?
Yeah, so I've been on and off stages since I started Spark, just because it's become such a kind of grassroots movement. So I have been a radio host actually in my life. I've done all kinds of fun things. But I do a lot of interviews, and now I travel around internationally. Not internationally, I'm sorry, nationally. Hopefully internationally, I'll manifest it.
Yes.
So dorky. Sorry.
Okay.
I travel around nationally and talk a lot about philanthropy in action. I talk a lot about, my professional career has always been in marketing and public relations. And so a lot of HelpLink, actually, we have built it in so that I told you those companies are donating monthly, right, to their employees. But every time they donate, whomever they donated to is notified that that company helped them, right? And so, it's public for everybody to see that that company helped meet a need, but it's also directly to your inbox, like, hey, these 4 companies helped meet this need. When it's time to say thank you, make sure you understand that, right? Companies that care about your community are companies that you should be supporting. And I'm very passionate about that because I think there's a lot of companies in the world and we don't have a lot of money, right? Most of us do not have a lot of money. And so you should really be spending money with these companies that are lifting you up when you need them, right? Not just the other way around, because they need you as much as you need them. And so I spend a lot of time talking about contagious culture and the importance of showing up for people and community. And so that's why I am actually in Mic Drop, is because I am finding myself on more and more stages as HelpLink grows. And as I told you off screen, I was this close to failing my public speaking class in college because I could not get on a stage without crying. And so I thought I should probably make sure that I can still get on the stage without crying. So I feel very confident, but it's always good to kind of hone in your skills, right?
Yes.
So, anything that spreads the message and gets people motivated to be a part of something bigger than themselves is really important to me.
That is so amazing. I'm so glad we got to talk and I learn more about you, Abby, and what you're doing. And I think that's what this platform is for, is I'm down here in Texas and you're in Michigan, and we got on the same path. And now I'm going to plug HelpLink everywhere I go because that is so amazing. And how many friends I have that own businesses that have employees that need help and they don't know it. I don't think they've ever had that conversation with their employee. Like, let me help you. How can I help you get to work? Or why are you missing? And it can even be, as at this time in this economy, it's even people that could be a teacher, could be a professional that is having to, these extremely large amounts of debt, or that they just need a little help. So this is a great
well,
thing.
And it's such and so often, first of all, it is rarely who you think it is that needs help the most. It is also rarely who you think it is that does the helping, funny enough. It's almost always flip-flopped, which I find fascinating to this day, years and years into it. But there's a lot of legalities for companies that can't ask their employees what's going on in their personal lives. And so there's a lot of red tape, and HelpLink kind of busts right through all of that because the employee is posting, but you can't see their name unless you like go dig into it. Like they can see it if they need to, but it just says team member and that money
Yeah,
comes out. So it's totally unbiased, right? There's
that's
no,
nice.
you
Hmm.
always help Cheryl, you never help me, right? That doesn't happen in our system at all. And teammates, so employees, fellow employees can donate to each other and help each other. You and I can go set up pledges as just Abby and Serena, right? I can go donate $25 a month and my money can go to single parents and veterans because that's what I have selected as wanting my money to go to. And then we go out and we meet real time needs from real people in your community. And then we don't send them a check, right? We pick up the phone and we call their electric company or we ship them the boots. Like we're not a GoFundMe.
Right.
And then you get a thank you at the end. So at the end, when they've received their work boots, they actually take a photo, post their thank you, and then it goes out to everybody who donated, whether it's an individual or a company. It is
Amazing.
so cool. So like, I know I built it, but it's so special to be a part of.
Yeah, I am so floored. I'm so excited to get to know more about it and share it with my community as well. So this is a great chat. I'm so glad we got to talk. Is there anything else you want to share about what's coming, the future, maybe some goals?
Yeah, gosh, everything feels fuzzy in my head just because babies, right? That whole get motivated part, right?
Right.
I think the biggest thing is for me, for our goals, is I want to get companies onboarded to HelpLink, but I also want individuals to come into it, right? Because you and I have power too.
Right.
And while one company donating thousands of dollars every month is really impactful, so is 100 people donating $100, right? I mean, that can create as much impact. So I would encourage people to just go try out the platform. Go donate $5 just to see who you can help. Make it random, let it go anywhere, and just watch the impact that you and 10 people can have. Is so cool.
That's amazing. I want to also connect you with, in my community, I met a young lady that started cars for single mothers, and she donates, I think, a quarter a vehicle to a single mom that doesn't have a ride. And that's how she got help when she needed it. Someone gave her a car so she could get to work. And I'm definitely going to connect you with her so you can, I think you have similar visions, similar missions, and that would be a good community for both of y'all to be a part of.
Absolutely, especially because we do car repair as one of our bills. So you can do car repair fundraisers and all kinds of things in there. So
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Abby. I'm so excited to get people to know more about you and about HelpLink. And we'll put your link down in the description as well. So anyone that needs to, would like to join and start giving and start helping or know more about you, we'll put your LinkedIn and your other social media as well. Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Serena. This has been awesome. I'm super excited to make an appearance in Texas.
Yes. And we will definitely do this again because I want to see where it goes. And the next time you speak or when you're going to go speak, let us know as well so we can share it out from everywhere.
Deal. Wonderful. All right, ma'am. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yes. Bye-bye.